Fidel Castro, born on August 13, 1926, in Buran, Cuba, was a revolutionary leader and the Prime Minister and President of Cuba. His rise to power, communist ideology, and long tenure as the leader of Cuba had a significant impact on the country and international politics. Castro grew up in a wealthy Cuban family but developed anti-imperialist and anti-establishment views during his education. In 1953, he led a failed attack on the Moncada barracks in Santiago de Cuba, which aimed to overthrow the dictatorship of General Fulgencio Batista. Castro was captured, tried, and sentenced to prison. However, his spirited defense during the trial gained him popularity and a sympathetic following. After being released from prison in 1955 as part of an amnesty deal, Castro went into exile in Mexico, where he formed the 26th of July movement. There, he met Argentine revolutionary Ernesto Che Guevara and other like-minded individuals who shared his vision of overthrowing Batista's regime. On December 2, 1956, Castro and a small group of revolutionaries, including Guevara, landed in Cuba with the aim of starting a guerrilla war against Batista. This event marked the beginning of the Cuban Revolution. Initially, the revolutionaries faced setbacks and were nearly wiped out. However, Castro and his surviving comrades, including his brother Raúl Castro, regrouped in the Sierra Maestra Mountains and built a support base among the rural population. Over the next 2 years, Castro and his guerrilla forces engaged in a protracted war against Batista's military. They gained popular support, and the revolution grew in strength. On January 1, 1959, Batista fled the country, and Castro's forces entered Havana, marking the triumph of the Cuban Revolution. Castro assumed power as Prime Minister on February 16, 1959, and later became the President of Cuba in 1976. He implemented a series of socialist reforms, including nationalizing industries, redistributing land, and establishing universal healthcare and education systems. These policies aimed to eliminate inequality and reduce the influence of foreign powers, primarily the United States, in Cuban affairs. The Castro government faced opposition from various factions, both internally and externally. In April 1961, the United States sponsored the failed Bay of Pigs invasion, an attempt to overthrow Castro's regime. This event further solidified Castro's commitment to socialism and strengthened his alliance with the Soviet Union. In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. The Soviet Union had placed nuclear missiles in Cuba, leading to a tense standoff between the US and the Soviet Union. Eventually, a peaceful resolution was reached, with the missiles being removed from Cuba. During his leadership, Castro also supported various revolutionary movements around the world, providing military aid and ideological support to countries such as Angola, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. This often put him at odds with the United States and other Western powers, leading to economic sanctions and political tensions. Castro remained in power for nearly 5 decades until his retirement in 2008. In 2006, due to declining health, he temporarily transferred power to his brother Raúl Castro, who officially took over as president in 2008. Fidel Castro passed away on November 25, 2016, at the age of 90. Castro's legacy is a topic of debate. Supporters admire his efforts to challenge imperialism, promote social justice, and provide free education and healthcare to the Cuban population. Critics argue that his regime stifled political dissent, violated human rights, and hindered economic growth through centralized planning and state control. Regardless of differing opinions, Fidel Castro's impact on Cuba and the world is undeniable, making him one of the most influential political figures of the 20th century.